Hi, welcome to Dreaming of Chess Mastery. I'm Neil Priest, and this is my YouTube channel that delves into the world of adult chess improvement. Now, we're just at the very beginning of 2025, and I'm coming up to completing the first 100 days of my project, a sort of documentation of for 1,000 days of my particular adult chess improvement journey. And I'm curious, it's a sort of experiment, what will happen? Because there is that question that nags away at all of us adult chess improvers. I mean, is this just a futile, pardon the expression, pissing against the wind sort of endeavour? Is adult chess improvement actually possible on some sort of significant scale? And we ask this question from time to time, usually after we've had some sort of slump, one loss too many. So that's what I'm trying to find out. If I don't follow my normal diet of blitz and blunders, will I actually improve? Can I learn any lessons from that? And who knows, perhaps sharing them might be of use to someone else in our merry little community. So that's what I'm doing, and I'm coming up to 100 days. On the very obvious level, I suppose I'd hit a bit of a slump last year. My rating had dipped, and I've managed to stabilise. I'm back in the sort of plateau that I've been floating on for some time now, and that's fine. I'd made a bit of progress towards the end of the end of last year, which was very encouraging. And then, of course, I started this year with 3 rapid game losses on the bounce, and all of them, at some point, I was anywhere between 1.5 and 2.7 ahead on the dreaded Stockfish assessment. So, they were very winnable games. The mistakes I made were quite obvious. So losing the games was rather depressing, as you can imagine. I also lost a slower game where my 1400 rated opponent played, and I know you can't totally trust chess.com's performance rating, but he played at 2500 and played a marvellous game, and he was very happy and said afterwards it's the best game he's ever played. But you can't help having suspicions, and I don't want to. I want to be happy for him and learn the lessons that I need to learn. So there we are. I suppose that little bad 10 days provoked the question once again. So I'm asking it. And of course we ask it because there are all sorts of good reasons why it might not be. The sort of neuroscience points that yes, we retain neuroplasticity, but it drops to a very small fraction of what it was. Is it 5%? I don't know. I'm just randomly remembering that as perhaps the number. By our latter years, 5% of what it was as a little kid. So we can improve, but according to that measure, not much. And if you read some writers, I think the original source for this was a book by Andrew Saltus, the very well-known American grandmaster, chess author, very good chess author, and he makes the point that you have about an 8-year window of chess improvement when you study seriously. And at the end of that, you're going to plateau out. Obviously, when he says 8 years, he doesn't mean from learning the game. I suppose what he's talking about is someone in their sort of, imagine they're in their mid to late teens, they leave school and they start playing chess as a professional. And I think this would have been the sort of story he would have been thinking about, the narrative on his mind when he made the comment. And, 8-10 years out from there, they've hit their peak. And they've just got to work to maintain it. They might improve a little in terms of their overall results, but significant change, no. And a lot of other people have referenced this sort of number. So there's that, and that's quite depressing. And of course, there's the anecdotal evidence, and people have spoken about this. I think the American National Master Todd Bryant on the Ben Johnson Perpetual Chess podcast has mentioned how he's done a sort of massive analysis of USCF ratings. He's a data scientist. And really, you just don't find a lot of examples out there. People who late in life make some sort of sudden dramatic leap. Obviously, I'm not talking about someone who learns the game for the first time, inspired by the Queen's Gambit, 43, locked down, and they just spend an enormous amount of time studying chess non-stop, monk-like, and they go from their first chess.com rating of 743 and 2 years later they're 1800 or 2000 or something, and it is extraordinary. I mean, that's fantastic improvement and a testimony to their work, but obviously that's starting from nowhere. And I suppose what I'm talking about is the adult, and obviously it's a me-driven question, because this is my channel. Someone like me who played chess keenly as a child and then stopped probably in their 20s for whatever reasons, but broadly they could be encompassed as life got in the way. You moved on. And then you start playing again 1 or 2 decades later. Can you reach the level you reached before? Well, that in itself is a bit of a challenge, because what I've discovered, even if you put to one side the question of silicon-aided online chess players, quite simply, people know so much more than they used to. Malcolm Payne, the English IM sort of director of the London Chess and Bridge Centre, I think he's some sort of senior officer at the English Chess Federation, organiser of the London Chess Festival, strong player. And he's made that point, how these days, I mean, there's just no getting away from it. I was listening to an interview and he was talking about how you're playing a Simmel against some sort of 1,500, 1,400 strength player, so a 1,000 point rating difference from where he was. And back in the day, well, the player would just collapse instantly. And now, no, they reel off 15 moves of theory, know the plan, and they've been doing their tactics, so there's no cheapos, and you've got to actually grind out the win with almost flawless technique. Heaven knows I've seen that enough on chess.com myself, although obviously I'm not a master. So reaching the level that I had when I was a child in terms of success, simply it's not the same challenge anymore. I will need to be a much better player. Obviously, I have that advantage too. So, yes, the opposition is improved enormously because I have access to these resources, but so do I. So perhaps reaching your old level is possible. But my question, I guess, if I dig into it, is it actually possible for me to make a really significant improvement beyond where I suppose I was at my peak playing strength at university, perhaps? That's the question. And I believe the answer is overwhelmingly yes. Now, I've said this before. I've spoken about this before on this channel. And if you have been following closely, you might be thinking, Neil, you're repeating yourself. I think a lot of people think that a lot of the time when they listen to me. I probably do, because I talk rather a lot. My apologies. But I am actually conscious of this repetition. My idea is that this video will be a sort of first in a series that will try and unpack this idea, this part of adult improvement in a more coherent sort of way. So a big series. Something to complement my recent 7 or so videos on books that are worthy of a deep dive, something like that. So yes, coming back to, before I rambled off the point, coming back to my point, yes, I do believe it's possible. I think our maximum strength is, it's a sort of tent-like ceiling. It's a little flexible. It's certainly not some kind of limit carved in stone. And I think further to that, we probably, us adult improvers, never got anywhere near our potential maximum strength back in the day when we were sort of leveraging peak neuroplasticity. So all these examples of the steady decline, which you see with grandmasters, and is often mentioned. Bless him, Jesse Cray on the Chess Dojo will often be talking about this. You've passed a certain age, and the only way is down, he seems to be suggesting, rather subtly, or sometimes not so subtly. But my point is that, yes, you can't reach that maximum that you could have if you'd done it all the right way, like little Anish that I mentioned in my last video. If you'd had a grandmaster trainer and had been studying 7-8 hours a day from the age of 3. Well, whatever that peak strength is of yours, you probably got nowhere near it. I certainly don't believe I did. And to be fair, I look at my peers and, I look at the rating that I flattened out at, and I look at the level that some of them reached, and they were many hundreds of points above me. And perhaps they were better than me, but I don't think they were many hundreds of points better than me. So even if I can't reach, my absolute very best, whatever is possible at this point in my life, I believe will be worlds beyond where I reached as a student. So how am I going to do that? Or how have I started doing it? And besides a deep dive into a book, what else should we be doing? And what's the sort of broad framework for our adult chess improvement? These are some of the things that I'm going to be tackling in the upcoming videos. I hope you'll stay with me for the journey. I certainly would love to hear from you. So if you agree, or better still, even if you disagree with what I've said, I'd be so delighted if you pop down a little comment. Anyway, that's it for now. Trust you're enjoying your chess. And until next week, ciao.